Hello and welcome back to another episode of Cadenza, enforcing your music habits one interview at a time. I'm your host, Catherine Barner. If you're new here, I bring you interviews from some of the smallest indie artists as well as #1 Billboard charting bands and everywhere in between. And today I'm in Spokane, Washington at Lucky You Lounge with Horse Feathers. How you doing?
I'm doing well.
Thanks for sitting down and chatting with me today.
Of course.
So you're playing a couple shows.
That's right.
So I'd come to Spokane. What do you like about Spokane and playing here?
Well, it's kind of got a little bit of a hometown feel to me in the sense that I grew up about 2 hours from here.
Okay.
So I grew up in Idaho in Lewiston and went to school at University of Idaho. And so this was kind of like the city when I was growing up. So I've been to Spokane countless times over the years, and it has kind of a little bit of a hometown feel a little bit.
Yeah. And before the interview, we were talking about that this is your first time playing at Lucky You since it's opened. What are you excited about for playing here?
Well, the room is really nice, and it sounds really good. It's kind of a different space than the Bartlett, which was, a little bit, which I loved, and we played many times in the past, but was a little bit smaller feeling. And this just has like a little bit of a cozy, more open room feel.
I feel like it's a little bit more vibey in here, which is pretty cool. So you guys did a fall tour.
Mm-hmm.
What was your favorite part about that tour? Is there a specific moment that sticks out to you that was just like, wow, that was such an incredible show?
We played we played a bunch of different places and everything, but honestly we played at the Historic Theater in Astoria, where I live now, and that was really nice, and it was a really good show. It was nice to play at that type of venue in our hometown.
Mm-hmm. Is there something just that feels more special about a hometown show versus somewhere else?
Sure. I mean, yeah, especially because Astoria has become my adopted hometown. I lived in Portland for over a decade, and I've only lived in Astoria for about 5 years now. But and I've been in and out in that time. So it's kind of cool to start to see us like gently and slowly convincing that community to come see us.
So you guys have 6 full-length albums. Mm-hmm. How would you say your music style has evolved over those albums?
Well, I started out just me by myself, way back. Mm-hmm. And it kind of slowly evolved in volume and dynamics, I would say, over the 6 records, from just me being a songwriter and being interested in like kind of playing folk style music to now being much more of like a full band sound with like a rhythm section and that. So that's been a pretty natural progression in terms of, some would say probably loudness, but stylistically it's changed a little bit. I've just had different influences as time has gone on. So yeah, you gotta change a little bit.
Yeah.
As just to make things more interesting. The earliest records were a thing that I was kind of ultimately painted myself into a corner and needed to kind of break out of that.
One of my favorite things to do with artists is listen to their first album versus their latest album,
Sure.
just to really hear that stylistic difference. And I feel like the first album was much more string heavy almost, and I hate using the word pop, mm-hmm. but like more pop-esque in appreciation. How would you say, is that how you feel about it?
That appreciation is more pop or
the pop and the loudness? Because I've also read a lot of people say that it's like quote unquote louder than what you've done.
Sure.
Is that how you would describe that?
Yeah, in many ways. Of course. I mean, I think that some of those things are pretty obvious. The only difference is it's still, the process hasn't been like wildly different from even what it was when I first started. Mm-hmm. It's like me versus time with a guitar, mm-hmm. For a while until I like get most of the songs kind of like sketched out, and then I work with collaborators. And that hasn't changed a lot, but of course when I work with a different set of people, it always ends up being a different result. And I played with a different rhythm section for this last record, so that was definitely different.
So we are in 2020. Chasing the vision of 2020, I like
Sure.
to say. What's your big goal this year for the project?
I am actually, we're at kind of the tail end of touring on this last record, Appreciation. And it usually takes me a little time and reflection after the dust settles from all the touring to kind of figure out what's next. So I don't really have an answer, unfortunately, exactly. I'm going to have to kind of reflect on that. And I'm also reflecting on the fact that I've just been, I'm like I said, painting myself into a corner. When you get like 6 records into something, it's unusual. It's hard to not repeat yourself or walk in your own footsteps. And so I don't know the method of, getting away from doing that yet, but I think I'll figure it out.
Yeah.
Hopefully.
And one other thing I wanted to ask is with those 6 albums, and the music industry's changed so much with streaming and social media.
Sure.
How do you think that's affected you as a creative musician and writing music and trying to reach people?
It's crazy because now I feel like kind of an old grizzled vet, and I'm like kind of into this age group that really isn't, quote unquote relevant in terms of like how music is being shaped and made and appreciated by like the larger youth demographic. Because now I'm like an old man, in that capacity. So what I do isn't like, no matter what I do, would never move the needle, I think, in any type of pop sensibility or, like we're not about to have any kind of viral hit or anything like that. Or, it just isn't, because I just don't play in a music style that really is congruent with what's happening now. But it affects it drastically in so many ways, I think. There's some positive things about the current way things are because it's very democratized and people have a lot more access to things. But I also think that we've kind of arrived at this position where music journalism isn't as important.
Yeah.
And without that insight and analysis, I think we've kind of lost some of the structures that allow us to communicate about it, because now people are just like, they don't have to decide so much as like an algorithm decides for them. And I think some of the discussion is lost a little bit, and I definitely don't think that the current paradigm celebrates depth, which hasn't really helped.
Yeah,
I
feel like right now it celebrates everything that kind of sounds the same, or things that are very similar, and people are like can grab onto very quickly and don't have to like think about and really process.
Absolutely. And when you have things that are like a new genre, like quote unquote Spotify core, where it's like designed to be playlisted. We're just in a new era, and some of that is, it's hard to digest and process and figure out as an artist like what that means. There's so many more distractions than there ever has been in terms of that. So I don't know. It's like not a great time to make like deep, moody albums,
Which is unfortunate because those are some of the best ones out there, in my opinion.
Yeah, they're good.
So, well, thank you for your time. Is there anything else you'd want to mention to the audience before I let you go? Where can people find your music, find you online?
Horse Feathers the Band is our Twitter handle. Check out, Horse Feathers, it's not Twitter. Instagram is Horse Feathers the Band, and that's probably got their most current stuff on it. And horsefeatherstheband.com for tour dates.
Awesome. Thanks so much.
Yeah, thank you.
If you enjoyed this interview at home, make sure to go down, click that like button, and subscribe. I do tons of awesome interviews with great indie artists just like Horse Feathers. Thanks so much.
Yeah, thank you.